MAGA world over H-1B visas and foreign workers, ladies and gentlemen. We're diving right into it. As you guys know, I covered this extensively yesterday, but we must cover it even further because the MAGA world has already seen its own share of political drama. Let's take a look.
Tonight, as President-elect Donald Trump is preparing for a widespread immigration crackdown when he takes office 25 days from now, we're seeing a crack between some of his top advisors and his MAGA base. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy are both facing major blowback from their own supporters for not only backing, but encouraging offering more visas to highly skilled foreign workers. Over the Christmas holiday, Musk posted this online saying, think of this like a pro sports team. If you want your team to win the championship, you need to recruit top talent wherever they may be. He later added, I'm referring to bringing in, via legal immigration, the top 0.1% of engineering talent as being essential for America to keep winning.
So the reality of the matter is I don't have an issue with H-1B visa programs. I don't have an issue with migration at all. Okay. Migration is what has kept America so dominant. Okay. The problem with how migration is done, however, or the major reasons as to why people like Elon Musk like migration, immigration in general, is because it creates an alternative secondary labor market that is reliant on maintaining their job. Because under normal circumstances, if you're a regular American, right? If you're a regular ass American, you have a couple pressures that keep you at your shitty job. Those pressures are the fact that you don't have health care if you lose your job. That's number one. Another pressure that you have is that you said you'll react to my videos if I ask you for the 100th time. No, dude, I was being sarcastic. Stop. What? H-1B is fucking ducking horrible. Rusty Twitch TV. I'm going to get to the problems with the H-1B visa system. But hold on. So if you're a regular American citizen, okay, you go to school, you go to college, right? You take on major student loans. You're taking on a shit ton of debt just to be able to become a more productive, more valuable worker. And in the end of that process, now you have to pay off those loans. So there are a couple different external pressures that keep you at your shit end job. A job that your educational attainment does not require you to take on in normal circumstances, but now you're desperate. Okay? Obviously, one of those reasons is how expensive college is and all the student loans that you have to take in order to even go there. That traps you. The second reason, that is perhaps the more significant reason, the more important reason, is that if you leave your job, you don't have health care because your health care is tied to your job. But for our endlessly parasitic, capital-owning class, that level of exploitation is not enough, okay? As profit rates have a tendency to decline, our capital owners look to the more malleable aspects of value, more malleable aspects of commodity production, which is always going to be the labor force. That's not enough, so they either, A, move manufacturing overseas to a developing nation in an effort to draw out higher profit margins in general, even though that is a logistical nightmare overall. It still is infinitely cheaper at the end of the day for people who want to produce goods at the lowest possible number, produce goods at the as cheaply as possible. Another thing that they also do is take advantage of migrant workers. H-1B visas are supposed to be for these incredibly talented workers that are highly skilled and have gotten, they've gotten all this education. And it's understandable that we have this mentality towards the brain drain. It's what has kept America competitive. It helps improve scientific research in the country. There are many different benefits for the H-1B visa program. The problem, or rather not the problem, but the additional benefit, the real benefit for the likes of Elon Musk, however, is that outside of the two pressure factors that I mentioned for documented American laborers, there's a third component that is even more consequential. It opens up a new avenue of exploitation. Because migrant workers, obviously due to the currency exchange, are always going to, if they want to bring money back to their home nations, are going to be they're going to be more willing to take a pay cut. Okay, that's number one. But number two, perhaps more consequential, is that if they lose their jobs, they don't just lose healthcare; they get fucking deported. Okay. And this is precisely the reason why Elon Musk and many other billionaires love the H-1B visa program, because this way you get to bring in a migrant worker that is competent, that is well educated, that will work for much cheaper than the American worker, okay, and is also tremendously leveraged in the eyes of, or rather, Elon Musk has tremendous leverage over the likes of an H-1B worker, and therefore that H-1B worker is endlessly exploitable. Okay? Much more exploitable than even the documented U.S. citizen laborer. Now, the solution to this problem is to ensure that there is a normalization and a proper processing to ensure that you can't actually depress wages for H-1B workers and keep the wages in the marketplace even. This, of course, is considered socialism or some kind of like price enforcement, some kind of wage enforcement, which is not even a part of the conversation. Not a single person will allow that to happen. Okay. And that is precisely why we have arrived at this major problem for a lot of Americans who are like, well, I want to get a job, especially in the tech sector where there's been hundreds of thousands of layoffs. What the fuck is going on? Elon Musk is still trying to fill these roles. Elon Musk is still trying to fill these roles with migrant workers rather than American laborers. And therein lies the major issue. Okay? And yes, by the way, this is my tweet that I screenshotted that Lolo posted, just so you know. And I can't believe he posted that and he got 46,000 fucking likes. This son of a bitch. I should have posted it. It is the funniest tweet I've seen. He sent me his screenshot. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, yeah, dude, I also screenshotted it. I sent him back the same fucking tweet. I was like, this is hilarious. I'm constantly insulted on this platform. So there it is. Therein lies the major problem. Now, I obviously have been gloating a little bit on the timeline over this process because I think it's very funny. A couple things I want to point out. Okay. Racist people are so funny. They thought the billionaire man doesn't just want cheaper labor, just like they foolishly think they're superior to a dude born into abject poverty just because the dude is brown. There's an air of entitlement and superiority that a lot of Americans feel over the rest of the world because of American empire. They think like they did it. You didn't do it, okay? You're just a beneficiary of it to a certain degree, and you're not even a good enough beneficiary of it because all the death and destruction that we subjugate the developing nations to do not even come back bountiful to the American society, to the average American labor aristocrat, okay? That's what's so funny about it, is that part of the reason why our GDP is so high is because there are so many expensive middle managers in every process. For-profit healthcare is one of the best glaringly obvious examples of this. There is no real service that they're providing, and it should not exist, okay? It's a concept that literally only churns profit for people. That's it. It's a money-making operation. It doesn't have any real service. It doesn't offer anything. Like, that's not a real concept at all. We just made up an entire fucking industry specifically designed to make things more costly. And they certainly do make things more costly. And it makes a lot of money for people who are shareholders. Okay? And we've basically done this with every industry. So the second tweet I had, which apparently a lot of right-wingers agreed with, which I thought was strange, is the elites destroyed schooling in this country for profit. They treat teachers like dirt. Kids get shot in school. Then they tell you college is not important and it can't be free. And now you're sitting around mad about H-1B visas. Lamau, you've been robbed blind. Ashley St. Clair said, never thought I'd see the day where I agree with Hasan. A bunch of right-wingers saw this tweet and were like, oh my God, I agree. Which is interesting. It's very interesting. I guess when you frame it with elites rather than capital-owning bourgeois or whatever. Oh my God, you're becoming jank? Yeah, totally. This means I agree with right-wingers and not vice versa. I think I'm on the opposite side of that spectrum, where right-wingers are agreeing with me. I'm not agreeing with right-wingers. I am noticing contradictions that other people are also noticing and using that to describe my worldview in a way that people can comprehend. This is what I do. It's called agitative propaganda. Okay, that is the major difference here. Isn't this their argument for school choice? The elites destroyed schooling in this country for profit is literally a argument against school choice. Okay, if I didn't know you, I would have assumed you were right wing just by the use of the word elites. So elites here is obviously a substitute for capital owners, not like Jews or I don't know, woke they them baristas. Okay, like the actual elites, the actual people who are in control of capitalist society, capital owners. Okay. Just so you understand. I mean, everyone here understands it. And the point still stands. The point remains. The elites destroyed schooling in this country for profit. It is true. Part of that is school choice, voucher programs, and rampant privatization. Okay? That is how it works. And LeBron is the one fucking elite that hasn't done that. He literally actually funded a public school when he had the opportunity to fund a charter school. That is one of the many different reasons why I love LeBron James and will glaze him endlessly. I can't believe you just activated my trap card by bringing up LeBron while we were talking about schooling in this goddamn country. Put some respect on the GOAT. Okay? Put some respect on the GOAT. Okay? Pour some honey. It's literally true. You can shit on LeBron James for anything else. Okay? You can't shit on him for this. But ultimately, what is important for you to comprehend here is that this is the truth. Okay? This is the truth. The truth is that rampant privatization has absolutely gutted and destroyed American public education, and that is a major component as to why American laborers are no longer competitive in the global market. And there are two ways out of this. Either you try to engage in isolationist policies, or you rapidly improve the educational infrastructure in this country and make it as egalitarian as possible in order to yield the best possible results. Because you don't fucking know what people's ceilings are. This is part of the problem with racist sentiment. There are many issues with white supremacist attitudes, but this is a major problem. You have no idea what a kid growing up in Southside Chicago, what their potential actually looks like. When you rob them of that potential ahead of time, you'll never know, okay? That's it. You will never know. And in that process, because we're trying to eke out profits from every corner, from every sector possible, we actually end up making our labor force less competitive in the global marketplace. And that's why, inevitably, countries like China will thrive in this marketplace because they don't fuck around with education. This is why it's always hilarious when Donald Trump, in the same conversation, will say something along the lines of abolishing the Department of Education. And in the same breath, without a shred of irony, will turn around and say, look at Norway and Chinese education. It's so much better than us. I wonder why. Perhaps it's because they understand the importance of education across the board. So there's two ways out of it, which is to endlessly engage in profit seeking while simultaneously push harder and harder, engage in more isolationism, and continue rampant exploitation and refuse to educate your broader populace and become dumber as a society. A dumber society is easily controlled, easily manipulated, so it still benefits the capital owners in general as they rely on better educated migrant workers that are more exploitable. Or you can continue migration while also simultaneously ensuring that every American gets the proper education all the way up to the college level, make college education free in general, and stop fucking listening to dumbass elites like Elon Musk who take advantage of that division in American society to sell you a lie. I am reminded of the Vivek Ramaswamy moment where he wore that fucking Texas jacket and the big cowboy hat. Let me see if I can find it. This is all it takes for many dumbass Americans. All it takes is for a guy like this, who is a hedge fund pharma bro, right? Who is one of the major villains of American society that has robbed regular Americans blind. All it takes is for this dude to put the fucking Texas jacket on, put a big ass cowboy hat on, and go, I don't like trans people. I think trans people are robbing you blind. I don't like them Mexicans. And then everybody goes, you're right, King. American history is riddled with people like this, okay? One of the greatest examples is Ronald Reagan, who was literally an actor. Okay, this is precisely the Ronald Reagan method. Fake populist bullshit. Make Americans divided, make them focus on racial boundaries that don't disrupt the capitalist pecking order, and you could rob them blind. Vivek Ramaswamy set us Indian Americans back 2 decades by doing this bootlicker shit. Yeah, it's also kind of funny because as far as like the right-wing BJP Indian Twitter, they're still blaming other Indians, not a shock, who happen to be leftist. So that is also hilarious because the metric ton of racism is not coming from other Indians who happen to be of a lower caste or happen to be leftist. The metric ton of racism is coming from white people in general who literally just despise Indians and don't care. Don't make the don't distinguish between like the good kind and the bad kind. Okay, that's not a real concept. There's never been a real concept. That will never be a real concept. That's not a thing that racists do. It turns out racists don't actually distinguish between non-white people all that much. They just say, oh, you're non-white and therefore you're lesser. Anyway, but let's get back to the CNN coverage on the matter.
He's talking about H-1B visas, which allow employers to hire highly skilled foreign workers.
Do you think funding in liberal arts, humanities, and social sciences should be reduced and redirected to STEM programs, or do you believe those programs are important in many ways for society and development? Of course, I believe those programs are very important in many ways for society and development. Yes, I think this like hyper focus on STEM is so hilarious because one, it never strikes people as odd that those who actually fucking LARP as STEM lords themselves also come from liberal arts degrees with like theater majors, okay? The likes of Steven Crowder and Tucker Carlson, right? And secondly, what's additionally hilarious about it is that they are trying to make the STEM field into serfs. That's why there was so much focus on comp sci in the late 2010s. And look what happened. Now every comp sci major is driving fucking Uber because they all got fired. Okay? They literally were like, oh yeah, learn to code, learn to code, learn to code. All you motherfuckers in this chat, learn to code. Look what happened when people learned to code. There was a very deliberate goal there to flood the marketplace with a lot of new comp sci majors in this like blossoming field so that they could artificially lower the wages in general because it became a more competitive field. And then they made you basically train the AI that would inevitably replace you. Because at the end of the day, capital owners are always going to look for ways of outsourcing your labor to cheaper substitutes. The cheaper substitutes that can actually do the same job anyway. And then basically find the most exploitable employee, H-1B visa employees in this circumstance, because they don't want to get fucking deported, to do your job once you are fired. What do you have to say about societies that have arguably surpassed America, particularly China, that have huge emphasis on STEM and like zero humanities majors compared to America? That's wrong. The idea that like there is no humanities majors in China is objectively incorrect. What are you saying? Countries like China quite literally fund art programs. They fund humanities all the time. They don't just fund humanities, they fund art programs in general. It's not, what you're saying is not correct about China, nor was it correct about the USSR, for example. It's so funny to say that like there isn't robust literature and robust art in a nation as large as China. Anyway, so the vast majority of people specialize in STEM fields. I may be mistaken, but many people specialize after Gaokao, and they, compared to America, go into STEM. They might have more of a STEM focus in like in Turkey as well. They might have more STEM focus no matter what until like higher education. I don't know enough about Chinese education, but to say that the Chinese government does not fund humanities and don't have like a robust humanities sector or robust art sector is entirely incorrect. You can't be serious about China art programs. Are you sponsored by them or something? Guys, I'm going to be very serious when I say this. I think your understanding of what's going on in China is a little bit warped. I don't know, like if you think, first of all, America funds art programs. Every government funds art programs, okay? Just so you understand. It's a matter of how much you fund art programs and humanities, okay? The idea that there is a government out there on this planet right now, as it stands, that focuses zero on funding the humanities and funding art is ridiculous. And not only that, but humanities are complementary to STEM in general, okay? Art is important humanities are important. Okay, the idea that like 100% full-blown STEM is the way to go is also silly. I'm sorry, you are wrong. What is this? What is this? Oh, ow, my balls. He sent me a Reddit post. What the fuck is this? In China, young graduates are selling their knowledge on the streets, facing a difficult job market. Highly educated Chinese have found a new way to monetize their degrees, knowledge street vending. What? I never said that first of all, I didn't say that the Chinese job market for the youth is good, for the record. We're talking about something entirely different. But I don't know how this says, sorry, I was reading chat. I don't know how this has anything to do with what I'm talking about. We're talking about education and the fact that you know, the Chinese government does fund art and humanities. They still do that. China has the biggest proportion of STEM majors out of any nation in the world. Graph in the link. I was mistaken though regarding America having a lot of humanities majors. It's middle of the pack. Wait, oh, you got clapped while I was in the process of reading your take. I'm a Mexican aerospace engineer in a border city in Mexico. I have peers that have gone to LA to work for a certain defense company that have said they feel stuck with zero negotiating power, having borderline management role with low pay, all because they don't want to lose the visa. Yeah,